Hi, hello, and welcome or welcome back. I suppose a few little bits of housekeeping. One, if I am lethargic today, it is because I have had a bit of a brain day, but I need to get this done. I need to get things all ready to go out for tomorrow. I am recording this and editing it on the same day, on the evening of Wednesday. So, hopefully this still goes out on Thursday. Who knows at this point? Second bit of housekeeping. Not second bit of housekeeping, still linked to the first. It's really warm. I don't know if it's got warmer throughout the day today, if there's a storm coming, or if it's just because I'm in my little room. But, yeah, I'm generally aware that my little room gets quite humid, and I can't put my fan on because otherwise it'd just be going the whole time, and that would not be pleasant. Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I think this might be a relatively short review for me because, I really enjoyed this book. It was wonderfully written throughout. Not written how I thought it would be. If you liked the style of Song of Achilles, not the content itself, but the actual writing style, then I think you'll like this. Because when I first read Song of Achilles, it took me a bit to figure out the age demographic it was aimed for. There's a lot more simple text than you often get in any kind of historical fiction. A lot of historical fiction. In a lot of historical fiction, it's often, even if not always done intentionally, there's an air of trying to emulate the sound of the texts that are around whenever the piece is set. Now, I'm aware there's some stuff going on with that with Song of Achilles. I've heard that there's some trying to replicate the way that sort of a lot of the tales were told at the time and that kind of thing, but that's not what we're here to talk about. With Hamnet, it is not trying to sound Elizabethan at all. Would this be Elizabethan? It's either going to be Elizabethan or just pre, but I don't know my royal eras that well. I'm probably not even going to put it in edit because it doesn't really matter. But it's not trying to emulate the style of texts of when it was written in terms of language type. If you're the sort of person that struggles with reading things like Shakespeare, you're not going to struggle with this. I did find a few things interesting with it. For a start, the names. So it's very clearly talking about the child. So Hamnet, the child, was Shakespeare's son who died and later gave his name to the play that we all know as Hamlet. But in this, a lot of other names have been altered and changed. So, and I looked this up to make sure I wasn't losing it or if there isn't some similarities with names. So sometimes in the way that Hamnet and Hamlet are the same name, or you've got translation differences like Yeshua, Joshua, Jesus, they're all the same name, that kind of thing. But no, so you've got unnamed playwright who is very clearly Shakespeare, his son Hamnet, but then unnamed playwright's wife is, I don't know if it's pronounced slightly odd. It's not pronounced Agnes, but that's how it looks. It's pronounced Agnes. I knew that Shakespeare's wife's name was Anne, and I was pretty sure that she shared a name with a modern actress, and it's Anne Hathaway. There is the same name there. But then In this, the playwright's late sister is called Anne, and yeah, it seems like there's some name changing, shuffling things going on. That's not the end of the world. This is not claiming to be a direct retelling of events. For all intents and purposes, this is an entirely fictionalized work that at the end reflects what may be with Hamlet the play. And this is more to do with Agnes, the wife, than it is to do with Shakespeare in terms of the adults. And obviously at the end of the day, it is to do with Hamlet and his twin sister, because it's his twin sister that's sick for the most part, but there's some stuff later on where it's not a spoiler to say that Hamlet passes away. That is A, in the blurb, and B, kind of the point of the book. It is the crux of the book that by the end he won't make it, because without his passing we would not have the play, right? The storytelling method is really interesting here. You've got a lot of time jumps forwards and back. So basically how I will call him the playwright, given that he actually doesn't have a name throughout this. He is either the playwright or the glovemaker's son or Agnes's husband, that kind of thing. He never has a name, and I do believe that's entirely intentional. The storytelling method is really interesting. So you get the playwright and Agnes, how they meet, with the playwright initially being a Latin tutor, teaching at the farm where Agnes is living / working. She is a stepdaughter to the landlord farmer's wife. Not necessarily important for review, and I'm not very good at retelling that in short bursts because I don't take notes. Why don't I? I don't know. Will I learn? No, I will not, and I wouldn't expect me to start either. But I really like the, here's your present story, going back, going into it. I always like those sort of things, and it doesn't just feel like flashbacks are being used throughout. It's very seamlessly woven together. It's very seamless, and I do like that. I didn't know that that's how it was going to work. I did presume that it was simply going to be the story of Hamlet's final week, but I'm really glad we got a bit more. I will say, while this might not be my favourite book of the year, it still had me hooked in. And I don't say that word on purpose just so I can put the graphic in, but goddamn does it live in my head. It really wrote me in. I was very much emotionally attached throughout, and the scene, I don't want to give too much away because that's a scene that really hits more, I think. Actually, no, to be fair, it would be impactful every single time. But the scene where it's basically going, take me instead, with the twins, that, I was sobbing. I was sat on my bed, having a little read, sobbing my little baby heart out. It is very emotionally charged throughout, and that's not surprising. You've got two 11-year-olds who are incredibly sick. You know that one of them's going to pass. One thing I did find unusual about it was this whole idea that Agnes has these kind of witchy capabilities. She has an almost foresight, she can read palms, and she knows how to use all the different tinctures and herbs to make medicines and that kind of thing, which I thought was an unusual choice. I'm trying to think about the right way to phrase this. I think bits of it work more than others. I think her knowing medicines with herbs and that kind of thing, yeah, I think that works. but I'm not sure about the bringing in the kind of folk-tale-y elements to it. You know, where she squeezes, I believe it's this part of someone's hand, and she can see things. She gets these little bits of knowledge about somebody. She's not completely psychic, but there's an element of that to it. I wasn't sure about that. I didn't think it worked for me. It didn't fit the tone of the rest of the book in a way, because the rest of the book isn't particularly magical, but that seems a bit magical, and it is not something that is, this is just her, she believes that she has this. It's very much no, she has these strange foresights, these strange knowledge about people. I don't think that worked particularly well. It's just a case of, tonally, it doesn't fit the rest of the book. It worked in places. I think the place where it really works is where, well, two places actually. One of them being her really not knowing what gender the baby's gonna be. Because her first child, she's like, I know it's gonna be a girl. Throughout, boom, it's a girl. But then when she's pregnant the second time, she can't figure that out. And that's really messing with her a little bit. And obviously it's because she's about to have twins, one boy, one girl. And the other thing, I just liked it as a motif throughout, that she's very sure there are going to be two children by her side on her deathbed. And that is brought in as an idea at just the right point for that to be most impactful, because it's not brought in so early that it bears repeating a few too many times, or it would be forgettable. But it's not brought in so late that it would feel like it's been shoehorned in. It's brought in at just the right moment, so that when the inevitable happens, there's a real sinking feeling about that. But on the whole, because I didn't know that's what it was at first, when Agnes, he's not a playwright yet, he's just a Latin tutor at that point, when they meet and she squeezes this part here and he gets this weird rush coming over him and he doesn't know what it is, and that's meant to be linked to these abilities that she has. But I kind of preferred not thinking about it like that. You don't find out straight away that that's what it is. And at first it just feels like this incredibly romantic moment where she's just... That's not a spot where people go to very often. So it just feels like, rather than grabbing his hand, she's done something very particular that just sits in his head and his chest, and it just hits him in a very particular way. I think that works better. But on the whole, I did thoroughly enjoy this book. I would maybe listen to an audiobook of it again. I don't know that I would sit and read it again, unless I was just taking a lot of time with it. I would happily sit and read this over the course of a few months, maybe a chapter or two at a time. I will take my time with it if I ever read it again. I definitely enjoyed it, and if you like historical fiction but are often put off by it being a bit pretentious, or you're put off by difficult language, as I often am, this could definitely be a book for you. Again, if you read Song of Achilles and really liked that, this may well be for you. There aren't the LGBT plus features. That's not... Themes is the word I was trying to think of. There aren't the LGBT plus themes in this as there are in Song of Achilles. Fuck me, I'm really getting to the end of the video, it's fine. But if you really like the style of that and wanted to read something more of this era, or if this story has sounded interesting to you, but you've been worried about the style of it or anything like that, definitely give it a go. I found it really interesting. And yeah, next week is a bit of a surprise, you will see. And then the week after that, I have some more library books. I will introduce them at the end of next week. I feel like that's the right way to do it. My tinnitus has just kicked off. Oh my god, get out. Right, we're going to have to wrap this up. What I'm going to do now is get my box and then get everything planned. Because I can then know what I'm doing. Not so 3 weeks time, right? Because I think that's fun. To make sure I've got things planned. So that I'm not overwhelmed. So here we have Lucy Diamond's The Secrets of Happiness. Secrets of Happiness. I got this... I don't think I got this from a charity shop. In my local Tesco, there is a little selection of bookshelves. You pay £1, you get a book. I've got a couple of books on my shelf from that. And I'm always excited to read more Lucy Diamond books. So, this will be, this will be a few weeks away, but like I say, it's always good for me to have plans in place, so I'm not freaking out. Everyone thought Rachel had it all. Appearances can be deceptive. Stepsisters Rachel and Becca could hardly be more different. Rachel is happily married with 3 children and a great career, while Becca has a dead-end job and a disastrous love life. But when Rachel doesn't come home one night, Becca is called in to help, and soon realises that her stepsister's life is not so perfect after all. Even worse, nobody seems to have a clue where Rachel might be. As Becca begins to untangle Rachel's secrets, she is forced to confront some uncomfortable truths of her own, but sometimes happiness can be found in the most unexpected places. It's just right on my street, and I think I need something like this, because I've not been reading the happiest stuff recently. Well, I know there's Heartstopper, but in terms of novels, I also know what's coming within the next few weeks, and they're not exactly the most upbeat books, and I've got like 6 books coming at you, so yes, we're gonna have some long videos on the way. That's gonna be fun. Also, this book, I can't tell how much it's showing. I'm gonna try and like tip it a little bit like that, but it's not. This book cover is iridescent, so if you shine it in the light the right way, the green cover has this like gold, like shimmer, not shimmer, but like a gold shine to it, which is stunning, by the way. So points for that, if nothing else. I'm sure I will bloody enjoy that. Lucy Diamond's never let me down so far, and I don't see her doing with this. So I will see you next week for something fun. I would say something a little bit different, but not entirely. You'll see. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, a wonderful whenever you are watching this. Take care of yourselves. Right.